Rain chances are going up this weekend, but even that won't put a dent in our dry spell. The timing for Saturday showers, plus the newest update on this historic drought.
And the drought doesn't just affect water, it means fire danger. We've seen nearly 1,000 brush fires since a statewide burn ban went into effect. But even with burn bans, fire officials are preparing for things to get worse. Then, how long will gas prices stay high? The president says it could be a while. What happens if the prices keep climbing? Let's go in depth to see if it could mean recession. Gas prices, brush fires, rain chances, even some local kids in the NFL draft. A lot to talk about tonight. We're glad you're here to be part of the conversation. Here's how you make your voice heard. Email 7 p.m. at WRAL.com. It is your messages that drive this newscast, your questions, your feedback, your curiosity. They lead to the real news stories that we do here at 7 o'clock, so please keep those emails coming. First up, a little bit of relief is on the way for this drought. You're looking at a timeline for rain this weekend. It's not a lot, we should say that, but it is something, and we will take whatever we can get. Kat, we should say it's possible not everyone is going to see this rain. Those who do will be happy about it.
Absolutely. It's a 60% chance of rain and storms by the evening and nighttime hours on Saturday. Any bit of rain is better than none. 88 degrees Saturday and Sunday. There's a raindrop icon, but it's only a small chance for rain first thing in the morning. And Sunday does come with a temperature drop. We fall to 73 for the high Sunday. Since most of the rain is going to be on Saturday, let's talk about the timing. It is dry the first half of the day for all the outdoor events and races. It's going to be nice and dry. But as we get toward 2 o'clock, we could see our first storm or two pop up. A better chance for rain's going to come closer to 5, 6 o'clock, and that chance peaks by 8 o'clock with a 60% chance of rain and storms. As for how much rain we could see over the next week, models are between about 1/4 of an inch and even 1/2 an inch of rain. So we're headed in the right direction. I'll have a closer look at the new drought monitor coming up.
The right direction with a long way to go, Kat. Thank you. And since this drought isn't ending anytime soon, I want to start a new little segment here. We get so many emails at 7 o'clock in the 7 p.m. inbox asking about the drought and the water restrictions that come with it. So starting now until the drought ends, we are going to answer some drought questions here at 7 o'clock. We even got a great new little stinger for you. It's time for the very first installment of Drought Daily. So tonight's question comes from a viewer named Stephen. He wrote, why have we not heard from Josh Stein about the drought and the measures the state of North Carolina is taking to mitigate the drought situation? So, Stephen, good question. We checked Governor Stein's Facebook feed and his posts on X, and he doesn't make any grand statement about the drought, but he did post two very important measures that he has in North Carolina that we are taking here to mitigate this drought. First, the USDA has designated 82 North Carolina counties now as natural disaster areas due to the drought conditions. Here's the map. It includes Wake, Durham, Orange, and Johnston counties. This designation can help farmers to get emergency loans. Then there's this, a burn ban, active across North Carolina, including our state parks. And that means no campfires, no burning leaves, no burning brush. Violations can result in hundreds of dollars in fines. And those restrictions do make sense. We have seen a handful of brush fires in our area since the start of the drought. This was that brush fire that broke out at Lake Crabtree Park in Wake County. That's just one example in a long list of brush fires that have kept first responders very busy during this drought. WRAL's Flynn Snyder has some new data on how many fires they've put out and what they're doing to stop new ones from starting.
This is the last thing firefighters want to see during a drought. Flames shoot out of brush piles in Harnett County. The flames are out now, but the risk remains.
I don't even know how it happened, but it was sudden.
Elsewhere, Amber White's yoga class ended after smoke from a brush fire billowed at Lake Crabtree County Park this month.
I told my client that we should probably go. I was going to take a few pictures, but we should probably go in case the fire moved across the exit road.
And the concern is that these drought conditions will only help to fuel and spread hotspots like these. It's why officials have implemented burn bans at both the state and county levels in spots. Nearly every county in the area has implemented local burn bans, which are often more restrictive than the statewide ban. The bans prohibit outdoor burning, including the burning of brush, campfires, and fireworks.
A burn ban is needed to prevent the small fires from getting larger, and then you end up with property loss.
Braxton Tanner is the deputy director of Wake County's Fire Marshal Office. He says a burn ban in Wake County is rare.
When was the last time Wake County implemented a burn ban?
I'm not aware of a burn ban since I've worked here since 2014.
The North Carolina Forest Service reports nearly 1,000 wildfires since the statewide burn ban went into effect. Only 5 of those were from natural ignition or lightning. Officials have issued more than 240 citations for burn ban violations. Tanner says the longer the drought, the longer the ban.
Is this a possibility that something like this could stick around for the foreseeable future?
I would say anytime we're experiencing extended conditions of severe dryness or drought, yes, I would think that we could possibly be looking at additional burn bans in the future.
The drought keeping fire officials on alert. Flint Snyder, WRAL News, Raleigh.
Thank you to Flynn, and this has been Drought Daily. I hope you learned something. Maybe we answered some of your questions. Maybe we didn't. So tell us what you want to know about the drought and the water restrictions in a handful of cities in our area that have them right now. Email 7 p.m. at WRAL.com. Send us your questions, and we will feature them in our next edition of Drought Daily. Hey, let's roll you through some of the other big headlines today. These are the 5 things you should know right now. We now know the name of the person killed during a field party in Wake County. 21-year-old Lamons Williams was shot and killed last night. 4 others were hurt in this shooting. Investigators have not arrested anyone. We know many of the people at that party are students at NC Central. We're told the man who died was not a student. The university says the party was not a school-sanctioned event either. New in just the last 10 minutes, we now know the person at the center of a SWAT situation in Wake County is dead. Investigators tell us they came to the Domain Apartments on Wallingford Drive this afternoon to serve a warrant. Deputies heard gunshots inside the apartment, and they found the suspect inside with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. They did not identify the man. A former Chapel Hill police officer is accused of planning a mass shooting in Louisiana. Investigators say Christopher Gillum was arrested in Destin, Florida, on his way to carry out an attack at a jazz festival in New Orleans. They found a handgun and 200 rounds of ammunition in his hotel room. Flock cameras spotted his car, and that's how investigators say they found him. 2 children were hit by a car this afternoon. Excuse me, you'll understand why I lost my voice there, because this is an awful story. It's happened in Cumberland County. Video of a scene on Pummel Road. Investigators tell us an 18-year-old hit the children while going around a corner of a street there. No word on the other child's injuries or any of the charges. Rocky Mount has a new budget officer. Kimberly Leonard will lead the charge as the city tries to dig itself out of a financial crisis. Rocky Mount is tens of millions of dollars in the red. The city is planning on raising utility rates to try and make up some of that cash. Hey, question for you. You having trouble keeping track of all the back and forth in the Strait of Hormuz? If you are, you're not alone. So we want to zoom in a little bit on the part of the story that many of you are worried about. Gas prices. The president says prices will stay high for a while longer, but why? I mean, the U.S. has plenty of its own oil, right? I mean, we hardly use the stuff from Iran. Let's talk about that as we go in depth after the break. Plus, should public school systems keep breathalyzers on school buses? There's a proposal out there that could make this happen. We'll have that story for you tonight on WRAL News at 11. For a little while, that is your quote of the day, and it's coming from President Donald Trump. That was his response when asked if Americans should expect to keep paying higher prices for gas. They asked him, and that is how he responded, for a little while. The uncertainty continues in the Middle East tonight. The latest headline is that Israel and Lebanon agreed to a 3-week ceasefire. Meanwhile, the ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran was extended indefinitely. Here's another quote from the president on what we should expect from that. He said, "A deal will only be made when it's appropriate and good for the United States of America, our allies, and, in fact, the rest of the world." In the meantime, it's still pretty chaotic in the Strait of Hormuz, a body of water where it's a shipping lane where 20% of the world's oil moves through. And it's not really been smooth sailing through there. We know Iran has fired on 3 ships in the Strait, and we know the U.S. has seized at least 2 ships. It's a lot of back and forth, and it's kind of hard to keep track of all of it. So let's talk about the ripple effects of all that uncertainty, the gas prices. Because as President Trump said, we could be paying more at the pump for a little while. But what happens if that little while isn't so little? What if the prices stay high or even get higher? Let's go in depth. I interviewed UNC professor Anusha Chari. She tracks and studies international oil trade. She did this at the White House during the Biden administration. And she gave me an interesting math equation to use with oil prices.
There are 42 gallons in a barrel. So for every $10 increase in the barrel price, it translates to roughly 25 cents per gallon, right? So if you have a $40 increase in prices, you see that gas prices go up by about $1 per gallon.
Let's do some more math. If I know anything, it's that people love math on television. Right now, a barrel of oil is hovering around $100, and gas prices in North Carolina sit around $3.85 a gallon. Now, remember, some of that is tax. North Carolina taxes us 40.5 cents on a gallon, and the feds tax us another 18.4 cents, so it totals about 60 cents per gallon. These prices are tough for a lot of people and businesses. But I asked Professor Chari, when prices go from difficult to devastating, not for individual families, but for the entire economy.
And it's only if we get to extremely high oil prices, which is over $200 a barrel, which really we haven't seen in, I don't recall when we have seen prices like that. I don't think we have. That's what it's going to take to push the U.S. into a recession.
The good news is we are still a long way from that, and there's no indication that would even happen anyway. In fact, the economy is set up to keep that from happening. Remember the gas crisis in the 1970s? An oil embargo by countries in the Middle East nearly quadrupled the price of oil. The video of the cars lined up at gas stations was all over the news. It led to a recession. At the time, the United States produced around 140 billion gallons of oil per year. Today, it's about 210 billion gallons per year. A viewer named Paul wrote in and said, "We have an abundance of oil here in the U.S. and enough to provide other countries. Why are we paying high gas prices?" So this is a common question. We get this a lot. And the answer is pretty simple, actually. The free market, profit, and supply and demand. It's really Econ 101. I'll try to keep this simple. U.S. oil companies sell oil all over the world, just like the oil from Iran and everywhere else in the world. It's all connected in this one large global economy. So when a war causes a shortage, supply drops all over the planet and prices go up all over the planet. Now, could U.S. companies give us a break on gas prices? Sure, but that's not how business works.
The oil companies, U.S. oil companies, are going to see blockbuster years for their profits, possibly be hiring more, and have more jobs, hire more people. And the states that produce energy, right, like Texas, North Dakota, Oklahoma, those states are probably going to do very well.
And this is good news for the stock market, for instance. It's one of the reasons we see fluctuations instead of massive declines. It's also one of the main reasons we invested so hard in the oil business after that crisis in the 70s in the first place. We did it to protect our economy. It's a good thing. Now, I know a lot of you are hearing me say this, and you're saying, if it's so good, why doesn't it feel that way?
The U.S. economy is really quite insulated, and I think we have to make a distinction between the pain that American households as well as American companies face because of rising oil prices. We have to sort of separate that from the economy as a whole. If the economy is doing so well, why don't I feel so good about it, right? And there's a significant fraction of American households that are facing that vibe session.
Let's talk about that vibe session, because gas is literally connected to every product and industry in your life, like groceries. Higher gas prices mean shipping costs are up. Diesel prices are way up, and those get passed on to you. Oil and natural gas also used to make fertilizer, which costs 70% more now than it did 2 months ago, which makes farming more expensive, and those costs, again, get passed on to you. Then there's medicine. They use oil to make that, too. And this week in the UK, the cost of some drugs spiked 30% because of oil prices.
I really think of a rise in oil prices as a tax on the entire economy. So even though the economy as a whole might be doing okay, the impact on American households and American companies cannot be denied.
And when everything is more expensive to make and ship, prices will go up on everything, meaning more inflation, which could keep interest rates high or higher. The problem fits into something that many economists are worried about, the K-shaped economy, where the wealthy thrive, the top line of the K. The people who own things, are invested in things, and don't have bad debts. They're doing well or great, holding the stock market steady and keeping the big picture looking pretty good. While everyone else, the bottom line of the K, struggles with a different personal financial equation. Yes, the economy, the GDP, is protected from rising oil prices, but most of you are not, costing you more to go anywhere, buy anything, eat, take medicine, and pay off debt. Tell me how you feel about this. What questions do you have about oil prices and how they affect your life? How are you getting by? Email 7 p.m. at WRAL.com. Tell me what's on your mind, and we'll talk about it right here at 7 o'clock.
Happy Friday Eve. We got to unfortunately talk about this drought. We did see the drought grow. Extreme drought coverage up from about 20% last week to nearly 40% now. And we've got some rain on the horizon. But let's dive deeper into the drought monitor before we get to the rain. The extreme drought is now pretty much the entire northern part of our viewing area. Last week, it kind of looked like this. It sloped up and it was severe in these areas, extreme to the north. Not so much the case. Our northern counties are in the extreme drought, the cutoff being Raleigh, and our southern counties are in severe drought. Both are pretty bad still. But we do have two main chances for rain to talk about. The first comes late Saturday. The second comes toward the middle of next week. There are still a lot more question marks with the second round of rain, but models are showing the potential for that to maybe bring another 1/4 inch of rain toward the middle of next week. We still need almost 10 inches of rain to end the drought, so it's little by little, but it's better than nothing. Tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., we're off to a bright, beautiful start to the day. Just a 20% chance of a stray pop-up shower during the afternoon, but we do hit 90 for the high tomorrow. Saturday, the first part of your day is nice and dry for any morning plans or lunchtime plans that you have. But once we get to the late afternoon and especially the evening hours, that is when we've got a chance for some scattered showers and storms. Not every single city is going to see rain Saturday. We go up to a 60% chance of rain Saturday evening and Saturday night. And then if this front doesn't make it that far south, which some models are showing, then there could still be some rain around early Sunday morning. Our in-house model is not showing that potential here, but we do still think that there could be a couple of quick showers in the morning, hence the 30% chance of rain. But the rest of the day looks dry Sunday. A live look at Lake Gaston. What a gorgeous sunset this evening. Don't you wish you were on one of these boats watching the sunset? It's been a nice warm day. Temperatures are back up to 90 tomorrow. It would be our 4th day in the 90s in April. Pretty remarkable. That would be a record. 88 Saturday, down to 73 Sunday. Monday looks beautiful to start next week. And then toward the middle of next week, we could see some rain. And again, it looks like we may see some rain late Friday of next week as well. So at least when I look at the long range forecast, there are some sights of rain on the horizon now. Dan.
We'll take it. Thank you, Kat. The NFL draft is tonight. Here's some video of them setting up for the big event in Pittsburgh. Handful of players from our area that could hear their name called this year. One last thing and some of your feedback after the break. All right, one last thing for you. The NFL draft starts tonight. My boys are fired up. I'm going to get home and watch it. Carolina Panthers have the 19th overall pick. We could sit here and speculate on who they're going to go with, but we're not going to do that. Instead, let's talk about some of the local guys who could hear their names called over the next few days. KC Concepcion has a shot to go in the first round. He's from Charlotte, played wide receiver at NC State before transferring to Texas A&M. This guy's a stud. He's considered a first-round talent. We'll see where he goes tonight. Here are some of the other names to watch for in the later rounds. Nick Barrett is a defensive tackle. He went to Eastern Wayne High School, played college ball at South Carolina. Diego Pounds played offensive tackle at Millbrook High in Raleigh and at Ole Miss. And Vincent Anthony Jr., an edge rusher, went to Jordan High School in Durham, then stayed in Durham for college, going to Duke. Good luck to all of them. This is always an exciting night. We wish you luck. Some feedback from some of you watching at home tonight. Anthony said, my God, WRAL, how many times do you need to talk about the lack of rain? Please find a new topic. I wish this weren't a big deal. I don't love talking about it either, but it is a big deal. The problems are big and they are small and they affect all of us. I mean, you already know what it's doing to your lawn. You know about the fire danger and the worst case scenario we're seeing in places like Georgia where people have lost their homes. I mean, at this point, there is a good chance that towns in our area may have to cancel their 4th of July fireworks this year because of the fire risk. Also, our farmers, they are panicking. I mean, this is killing their livelihoods. Those are our neighbors. We should care about them. And when farmers hurt, food costs go up on top of what we're already seeing from gas prices, which we talked about earlier. We need rain. And unfortunately, that need may stretch into hurricane season. And when a tropical system hits hard on dry soil, it doesn't absorb very well. And that could mean awful flooding from a storm that we wouldn't typically see that type of flooding. It's all because of the ground and what can be soaked up. So I know we're talking about it a lot, but we're doing that because it's important and it's impactful. It affects all of us. Keep those emails coming. 7 p.m. at WRAL.com. It is your content and emails that drive this newscast, so please help us to continue doing that. Have yourself a fantastic night. We'll see you back here tomorrow.